I'm really delighted to be here this evening to take us into the next phase of the conference, which is actually the best bit, of course. It's Soapbox. I'm Sarah Yearsley. I'm the coordinator for Engage in Scotland. So, of course, I'm really, really delighted that we're hosting the conference here in Glasgow in Scotland. So without further ado, I don't think Soapbox needs much introduction. We've got 10 speakers. They're each going to speak for 5 minutes. Some have presentations, some have films. There isn't loads of time for questions. So if you do have questions, if you either grab them at dinner later or maybe tomorrow, or even email them, that would be great. So first up, we have Alice McCabe, who is an artist, and her presentation is called It's Art, Baby, The Non-Importance of Being Earnest. I think you can do the rest, Alice. So welcome, Alice. Thank you.
Hello, hi. I'm going to time myself as well. So good evening. I'm an artist interested in Dada and arts education, and I want to ask for your feedback on a sitcom I started writing that combines these two interests. I moved to Zurich in 2010 to research Dada, performing as the There School of English Dada. I then studied curation and arts education in German at the Zürcher Hochschule der Künste, where misunderstanding and nonsense took on an entirely different meaning. I wrote the sitcom pilot as part of my master thesis, and this was mentored by Carmen Morsch and parallel to a theoretical section on misunderstanding as a tool for arts education. I'm now really hoping to finish writing and to film the pilot with the help of good friend Arzu Saglam, who is a digital animated arts and media artist next year. So I've got my first flesh card. And the sitcom series is called It's Art, Baby, The Non-Importance of Being Earnest. It is a surreal sitcom, as although it takes place in a commercial gallery in a white space with all the archetypal figures, they also have an education department. It follows the actions of this arts education team, who each episode use increasingly progressive forms of misunderstanding to mediate works of art to the public. So this is although there is never any artwork displayed in the gallery. Don't need that. So what starts off in the pilot as misunderstanding kind of related to language or, for example, translating theory into everyday life ends up with the use of torture or sensory deprivation, and finally the gallery walls being removed and the invigilators sort of sitting in a park and talking to people. The episodes are an hour long to allow complicated kind of plot lines to develop and often stay unresolved, and the full range of understanding to misunderstanding to be played with. I would now like to summarize the pilot plot with the help of these illustrations. So it's called Intrapsychic Tour. And oh dear. How do I just scroll up? Sorry. Oh yeah, perfect. Fab. Okay. Yeah, to this one. Ah, yes. So, yeah, true spirit of misunderstanding. This is a worm. He's called Worm the Worm. He's seen here employed by local council. You can't see the kind of backdrop, but he's inside a council meeting and he's sort of giving a talk on funding forms and, council speech. So the gallery staff are having a meeting, and I'll just read through this and then please think of your own visuals. So the gallery staff are having a meeting in the director's office, which is decorated with heritage-listed images of sugar plantation workers. The artist is preparing for his exhibition. Having seen the newfound interest in arts education, he decides to meet the educational turn in curating with a forced curatorial turn in educating. To do this, he swaps the curators and educators, producers rather than reproducers of power, and the arts education team end up feeling this is far more of a stunt. So they are out back in the gallery in another building, and they're all sort of making sandwiches. There's both the curators and arts education team give tours of the space to different audiences who do not understand them. This is in part given a disposition towards the language of international arts English in both cases. One member of the arts education team dies, and this will be a weekly feature. So the format is the sitcom format utilises the medium of TV to bypass inclusion-exclusion, although those similar sort of boundaries exist within humour. This is where you come in. I want to ask for your help in sort of practical examples which you might be willing to share, which might get written into, say, a theoretical sitcom based on misunderstanding. So it would be really brilliant if you have these kind of day-to-day examples from mundane to severely aggravating, which you could bring and come and talk to me about, and I'd love to include them. So please write me an email or see me, and my email address is alice@alicemccabe.com. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Alice. And I should also say that all of this information will be shared on the Engage website, so you'll be able to contact Alice with your ideas, and then you'll be famous afterwards. So next up, we have Carol Dunbar, who's Education Officer at the Peer Arts Centre in Stromness in Orkney. And Carol's going to talk about generation and working with young people through generation. So over to Carol.
The exhibition Generation After Generation was the culmination of a 9-month project developed, produced and curated by the Peer Arts Centre's peer group, which is a flexible and informal collective of young people aged 16 and over, who each year create a programme within the gallery that reflects their wide range of interests and talents. In 2014, the focus of the group's activity was the Glasgow 14 cultural programme Generation. And the project is summarised and recorded in the document that's looping on the screen. There were many strands to the project, which was underpinned by collaboration and consultation, and it had two main intentions: to work with the artists Walker and Bromwich on the preparation for their exhibition Arcadia and Other Stories, which was the Peer's main contribution to the Generation programme, and to develop an independent outreach programme of community engagement around the artist's work. Storytelling and the creation of new mythologies and stories became a key feature of the project and the principal activities of the summer roadshow that rolled out across Orkney in early August. Collaboration with other young people was a vital element of the project, especially Tuesday Club, which is a locally based informal drop-in group for young people with learning and support needs, and Fresh Fruit from the Fruit Market Gallery, who came to Orkney on a short residency in March 2014. The highlight of the project for the group was the trip that we made down to Edinburgh and Glasgow. And I'd like to read the summary. We took a young writer in residence with her, and this is the summary of the project. I should say that I have lots of copies of the booklet, if anybody would like one of those. At Goma, a mountain of old tellies plays every film Douglas Gordon has ever made simultaneously. In the cacophony of noise and flickering light, it seems impossible to concentrate on one item. To begin with, this is how our trip south to see some of Generation feels. There are too many new things all at once. The 25 years that Generations covers is longer than the members of Peer Group have been alive. But one film of boys bobbing in a harbour draws us in, and we find everything else cancelled out as we are absorbed, for a while at least. When we left on the Hamnovo ferry, a solitary bonxie was swooping high over Stromness. We waved to the Peer Arts Centre, then watched the gallery and town recede. The day's journey to Glasgow, pushing on into different landscapes, fir trees, a glimpse of stag, was long enough to appreciate its significance. In Orkney, we are used to tourists peering curiously at our daily lives, but on this trip, the tables are turned. In the city, we come blinking from the aisles, dragging suitcases, trailing guidebooks, wearing raincoats. On our field trip, or rather street trip, we stay in student halls with stern notices and vomit stains and pass Alistair Gray's mural at Hillhead subway station each day. We have a full schedule. In beautiful galleries, we are treated to tours. At Goma, we step like giants around cardboard churches. At the Fruit Market Gallery, our retinas buzz with Jim Lambie's colours and mirrors. The Edinburgh Fringe is on and the pavements are busy. It's an important summer for Scotland, and we watch Peer Group Lad in a play about the referendum. There's so much to take in: cultural overload, sensory saturation, and the weight of choice. The possibilities of the city are suggesting themselves. We're learning how to focus amid noise and lights. We meet with other peer group members who have made the leap and are now students or graduates in the city. The long train journey home, finishing with miles of empty Sutherland and Caithness moors and Atlantic waves hitting the ferry window, cleanses our palates. We drew some maps while travelling, bolstered in confidence by the weirdos and chancers whose ideas and creations are exhibited in gleaming city centre galleries. If they can do it, why not us? We've been reminded that there's a world outside of Orkney that these young people are able to step into and take part of if they want. They are the next generation. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Carol. And I hope everybody noticed that I did feature in one of the photographs in the background, but I'm not a young person, sadly. So moving on then, our next presentation is from Kay Hardiman, who's Head of Learning at Nottingham Contemporary, and your presentation is called Learning from the Loudspeaker. So over to you, Kay.
Hi, thanks for inviting me to speak. I'm Kay from Nottingham Contemporary. Loudspeaker is a 3-year programme funded by the Esme Fairbairn Foundation. Artists from Nottingham Contemporary worked with women involved with the charity Changing Lives. It aimed to raise the voices of women who had experienced domestic violence, abuse, addiction, prison, and with mental health issues. I'd like to show you a little film. It's only a 2-minute section of a much longer piece made with the artists and the women working on the project. I might need a bit of help, maybe not.
It helped me to open up more as a person, walking into a room full of strangers, and just women as well, because at work I'm surrounded by men and women, but to just be in that room full of women was quite a difficult thing for me, but yeah, it's kind of made it a little bit more, I'm a bit more accepting of different people, different cultures especially, because it was nice that there was different cultures among us as well.
I've been coming on this contemporary for some months now, and for me, I find out I am me. I've done a lot of things around you guys, which I wouldn't thought I would do if I was in a relationship or if I was in a partner or whatever, because at the end of the day, I feel free that we can do what we want to do, we can express our feelings, we can talk to each other about anything, even mental health, without anybody take that away from us. And also, the most important thing, none of us judge each other. We talk about different culture, different nationality.
When I joined this course, it's like you're not really focusing on your other side. Everybody has their own situations. But there's this thing that it brings out of you, that positive you, and it makes you feel, well, I'm here and I can do whatever, I can explore, I can do a lot for myself. Whereas when you're going for a therapy, you just have to be rigid and you talk about things that makes you cry.
My mentoring as a kid gave me a lot of courage in doing a lot of things what I've never done. You know, like communicating with other people, and I could never speak out about my illness, but I could speak out to the women who were actually coming in.
I think we've got some film of that will give you a bit of an overview, just some pictures scrolling through while I tell you about what the programme looked like. Our artists, Gillian Brent and Jo Dackham, ran 10-week blocks of workshops with around 10 women at a time. We worked with a total of 80 women over 3 years. Our exhibitions were used as stimuli, and workshops took place at the gallery and around the city, for example, in places such as local allotments. Women kept journals, which fed into an accreditation, and took on mentoring roles. Each block ended with a public exhibition of the group's own creative responses at the gallery. Guest artist Polly Brannan was commissioned to also work with the women, which led to an incredible project called Letters to the City. A publication of letters were written by the women. 2 of the letters featured on a poster campaign that was shown on 20 bus stop shelters around the city. There was a public walk and a reading of the letters at Speaker's Corner in Nottingham. It drew a lot of media and public support. I have some free copies of those letters if anybody would like them. There was also a school strand. Women worked with artists to create and deliver a schools resource aimed to help children express their feelings and their opinions. We worked with over 200 children so far in that way. So what did we learn? Well, we developed our methodology using contemporary art to help women gain confidences about their identity and move forward with their lives. We learned about practical issues such as defining roles, creating safe spaces, food, debriefs, being flexible and responsive. Engagement, how to balance encouragement to attend workshops while not pressurising women. It was so important that they felt in control of their choices. Esme Fairbairn were a fantastic funder. They were very hands-off, yet supportive. For example, we knew that getting the right number of people was not going to be their foremost concern. Partnership work was built on mutual respect and openness. So Changing Lives, our main partner, were brilliant at judging when it was the right time for a participant to be involved with us, and their judgment and professionalism was vital to the success of the programme. This is a really brief overview of what was an incredible and project full of a lot of different learning and some incredible experiences. There's more about the learning that's going to be shared next week when we conclude the programme with a free national conference called Finding Our Voice. There are places still available. If you're not all conferenced out, then please join us in Nottingham. Come and see me for information about that. I'd welcome your thoughts about this work and hear about the socially engaged practice that you're employing as well. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, so are we okay for time, Ellie? Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, Kay, and it was a really interesting, kind of fascinating project, so thank you. So our next and fourth presentation is Ellie Kumusi, who is Head of Education and Cultural Strategy at the Mal Galleries, and she's going to talk about a learning space to reimagine arts education at the Mal Galleries. So over to you, Ellie.
Hello, hi, I'm Ellie from the Mal Galleries. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the gallery. And we're based in central London on the Mall in a Victorian building. This is us where the arrow is showing. And we're also home to the Federation of British Artists. So we work with 500 artists who are members of the Federation on a regular basis. But we also collaborate with another 5,000 artists throughout the year. And 2 years ago, we decided to transform our Victorian cellars into a learning centre. And this is what the cellars looked like before. And although they've got a lovely heritage feel to them, and I did some wonderful Halloween events in there, I think it's probably easy to see why it's hard for anyone to spend more than 10 minutes. So this is what the learning centre looks now, so hopefully an improvement. And it's proven to be a very popular space, both with diverse audiences and our artists alike. And I think what makes it quite unique is that it doesn't resemble like a formal education classroom. And you can see here that people are just lying around, kids are working on the floor, and we wanted people to really interact with the space and really kind of explore it as part of their educational experience at the galleries. And also the feel of the space actually got us thinking and inspired us to diversify the activities that we offer our audiences. And we started introducing more cross-disciplinary projects, more community takeover projects. And the space has also been a wonderful education exhibition area where we get to do all the exhibitions that they don't let us do in the main gallery. Don't tell them I said that. And these are some examples of those projects. These two pictures are from a partnership we did with Notting Hill Housing Trust, which is a housing association with different services all over London. And we invited the residents to basically meet each other for the first time and work with each other, create work, and set up their own exhibition celebrating their 50th anniversary. And it proved a very popular event. Another really positive outcome that we've had as part of the new learning centre is that there's been a huge increase in the engagement that we've had from our own artists, as the space has given them a tangible kind of starting point to come up with their own initiatives, because artists, as most of you know, sometimes are a bit hesitant working with the wider public, and especially with younger audiences. Well, certainly most of our artists were before this project, but it was actually one of our artists that initiated the Notting Hill Housing Trust project, and another one of our artists recently initiated a lovely project with the Communication Science Department of City University. So they're really taking initiative, and it's lovely to see that. And at the same time, we wanted to introduce more opportunities for young people and emerging talent, including residency projects, where we would invite young artists to create a body of work in response to the space, to the galleries, and our network of artists. And this is an example of such a residency project called Inside Portraits, where we invited two young portrait painters to curate their own show, and each one of them took over a different area in the Learning Centre. So that's the first artist, Emma Hopkins, and the second one, Sarah Jane Moon. And we really urged them to use different media. So you see there was a bit of video work as well. Sarah did the same thing, and we wanted to have a dialogue between the artists as well. So as a conclusion, I know that I've been saying, the Learning Centre has brought all this amazing change and positive outcomes, but it is true, it's really made us think about the spaces that we share with our artists, with our audiences, and it's helped us, even though it's a fixed physical space, it's actually helped us be more outward looking and come up with initiatives that bring together different fields, hopefully in a creative way. And please do get in touch with comments, ideas, critique. Anything is welcome. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much, Ellie. So next we are going to hear from Deirdre Buckley, who is Learning and Engagement Manager at Craft Space. So over to you. Thank you, Deirdre.
So, hello everyone. As Sarah said, I'm Deirdre Buckley and I'm the Learning and Engagement Manager for Craft Space. And we're a Birmingham-based contemporary craft development agency, and we work on socially engaged craft practice. And I want to tell you a bit about Making for Change, which is a craft and social justice training programme that Craft Space is currently developing. And we're working with young people aged 16 to 25. And so I've chosen this quote because I really liked it, and it has a deep relationship to what Craft Space is interested in, making, and particularly the practice of craftivism, which is craft and activism together, is a direct way to combine thought and action. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. At Craft Space, we're particularly interested in the relevance of craftivism for young people, both at a personal and a societal level, and our training programme is about exploring that. No, it's all right, go on. I'm just going to croak. So a bit of background to why we're doing this project. Birmingham is one of the youngest cities in Europe. It's got high levels of poverty, so 1 in 3 young people in Birmingham live in poverty. We've got huge numbers of neat young people, and there have been lots of reports, Breakthrough Birmingham being one of them, which suggests that young people in Birmingham want to have a say about their communities, but don't necessarily have the mechanisms to do that. And so these stats kind of showed us where we needed to go. And then as part of the development process for Making for Change, we've done a huge amount of wide-ranging research. We had funding from our local bridge organisation, and then we paid a youth consultant to do some research around existing youth programmes in the city and to establish a need, really, for what we're trying to do. We then ran a series of creative consultation events involving young people, geographers, and social media specialists. And we brought these people together to explore what social justice means to them, what they thought about the data that's being collected in the world. We're particularly interested in open data and big data and how that's being used, and also whether they considered themselves to be change makers. Our creative apprentice then led an inspiration day attended by 40 young people, and in that we explored ideas of craftivism and how young people can become engaged in ideas around social change using making as their kind of core process. We brought together craftivist artist Sarah Corbett from the Craftivist Collective, a social media specialist from a company called Podnosh, and 2 other makers, and together while they were engaging in craftivist activity, the group talked about what social justice meant to them and what they thought about how they could bring about change. I'm getting a bit confused. And we used that event to talk about we used the event to talk to young people about social justice issues that were important to them and whether a social justice training programme would be of interest to them. So this is a young person working with maker Gemma Latham, and she uses physical processes, paper-based processes, to explore textile processes. And at the same time, she records your heart rate and your brain responses to see a change in your behaviour and your feelings. And this is artist Kate Rollerson, and she led an activity exploring your inner change in relation to mental health, and she got young people to embroider onto ribbons a thing that you would do to make yourself feel well and something that you'd not done to make yourself feel well. This is what they felt about the day. We then led a series of consultation sessions with young people in the city, and through that we explored what they felt about social justice, and we established that a lot of people didn't know what social justice was, but they were all interested in being part of a programme. And as you'll see there, they're the things that they felt were important. And then what next? So what we're hoping to do is run a 4-day pilot in April 2016, and that will be supported by a researcher from the University of Birmingham. And what we're looking at specifically is to explore how making can impact on social value for young people, and how to establish how making is inextricably linked to the process of change in young people, and how that change can become embedded. And then we want to follow that up, if we get the money, with a year-round Make a Mentor programme. And we're really interested in how making can be at the heart of the mentoring process. So rather than using words to mentor, that if you start with a physical making process, then the personal development for young people will come as a result of that. Thank you. Sorry.
So next, we're going to hear from Jack James, who's Children and Families Coordinator at the South London Gallery. And you're also going to be talking about play, aren't you? So that kind of follows quite neatly on. So over to Jack.
If we just do it full screen and I'll just flick through.
Okay, good. Next time, we'll try and do our best. Carry on. It's okay. I'll get it.
Oh, hi everyone. So this... Are we all right?
Just carry on. You haven't got much time, so you
Okay, cool. This is a big mushroom for playing with. It's fixed in place and made of a rubbery material. It's situated on a slightly underwhelming municipal playground on Elmington Estate in Camberwell. South London, where it's accompanied by one other big mushroom, a roundabout and a small climbing frame featuring a slide. All of these elements are fixed in place and surrounded by safety surfacing, and a steel fence surrounds the playground, separating it from the rest of the estate. Additionally, the playground is protected by a dog-proof grid. I estimate the combined material and economic resources expended on the safety equipment is greater than that invested on the play equipment itself. And although I can't verify this today, I can cite Tim Gill's well-informed research in his book, No Fear, Growing Up in a Risk-Averse Society, where he claims that typically 40% of the cost associated with building a playground is spent on safety surfacing alone. If this keeps children safe, then it's surely a price worth paying. But the evidence that Gill's references reveals that safety surfing has had extremely little impact on preventing the serious head injuries it was designed to prevent. The requirements for safety surfacing has, however, led to the increased cost of building playgrounds and the removal of some, meaning fewer places for children to play. This is a short presentation, so please take my word for it. Play is great for children, adults, and communities. More play is good, less play is bad. Like its predecessor, Making Play, South London Gallery's Play Local project, which I'm working with my manager Lauren Willis, explores a dialogue between children's play and contemporary art. It does this by enabling children to access spaces for play on housing estates local to SLG, involving artists in the play process in ways relevant to their practice. We value the development of enduring relationships and explore the role of arts practice and the role of an arts organisation within its local context. At the centre of Play Local is the Shop of Possibilities on Sow Gardens Estate, South London Gallery's closest neighbour, along with Camberwell College of Art. Like the rest of Play Local, it offers a place for children's free choice and agency, terms often talked about, but hard to define. The shop is an open access space where children come and go as they please and can express themselves in what I view as the most important way, making choices in the immediate moment without predefined expectations and with the option to participate or not. Barbie Asante's Noise Summit, for example, which took place on Pelican Estate during school holidays in 2014, wasn't important to me because it taught children a skill or gave them the satisfaction of putting on a polished performance, but because it created an immediate space, one where materials, in this case a PA system, a mic, and an ensemble of musicians to be played with, could be used as part of a messy dialogue close to home and in context. Although clearly social and engaging, this project was also somewhat an antisocial disruption. Noise Summit was funded, however, by Southwark Council's Joint Security Initiative, a funding programme which exists to fund projects that discourage negative behaviour from young people. Council officials did, however, enjoy the idea of doing this with a few hours of noise. Along with the council, another often cited folk killjoy is health and safety. The primary reason why children can't do all sorts of things. Once I met an official from the Health and Safety Executive while working on an adventure playground in Tottenham over 10 years ago. They gave us nothing but praise for letting children have a great time with wood, fire, tools, and more recently they released a document that states, play is great for children and children's well-being and development. When planning and providing play opportunities, the goal is not to eliminate risk, but to weigh up the risks and benefits. No child will learn about risk if they are wrapped up in cotton wool. Perhaps some things have traditionally happened in the absence of adult supervision. I think my own mother practiced a form of pragmatic neglect. It's a joke. A bit true. Allowing me to take risks and flirt with danger without the expectations associated with adult supervision. But in recent years, there's been a sharp decline in the time children have unsupervised. Today, parents spend more time with their children, Formal education and training is expanding, and of course arts organisations are committing more resources to working with them. And although it might seem inappropriate to talk about this when so many important communities are facing cuts, today I believe we spend more time, energy and financial resources on children and childhood than at any other point. So although I can easily criticise the values of the Elmington Playground, it is, however, a monument to our shared commitment to working with children. I've run out of time, so I'll finish with this, which is a quote from a piece of text that I wrote for Laura Eldrit's Rough Play. On the last page. It seems likely that for the foreseeable future, the majority of children in any age in Britain will only be able to enjoy the types of play that are sanctioned by adults. Where is the space for boisterous play that is loud, incorporates violent mannerisms and physical actions that can hold the potential to harm if misdirected, or the obligation to pull a punch is forgotten? For a short time, Eldrit's Rough Play provides a space to consider the importance of play fighting, and visitors are invited to explore the situation under the supervision of invigilators and play workers from the South London Gallery. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jack. So next presentation number 8, is from Janie Nichol, who is President of the Scottish Artists Union. She's also a member of the Engage Scotland Development Group. Thank you very much. And she is going to talk about the results of the 2015 Scottish Artists Union membership survey tells us about the state of the arts in Scotland. Okay?
Thanks very much, Sarah. I was going to say with my other hat, I'm an Engage rep, but with my other hat, I'm President of Scottish Artists Union currently. So obviously we're the union that represents Scotland, artists in Scotland, and in England at the moment there's the Artists Union of England, which was set up recently, which some of you will be aware of. But basically what I want, I did a presentation already today down at South Block, so I didn't want to repeat myself. That was more of the kind of background about Scottish Artists Union, but for the last 4 years, we've been doing research into our actual membership, and so we've done a membership survey, and this is the 4th year of it, so I thought it'd be a good chance to highlight some of the findings that we've had. So basically, the survey has been running for the last 4 years, and we've had quite consistent kind of answers and results. It covers, these are the baseline topics, so things like the membership, benefits, services, communications, funding, showcasing practice, income and welfare benefits, employment status, terms and conditions. And more recently, we've asked new questions about whether artists live in a rural or urban location, their age group, and things like whether or not they use an accountant. So basically, this year, the membership survey covered 1,250, our membership at the time was 1,259, and the survey responses we got were 472. So this gave us a 37% response and allowed a 99% confidence rate in the results. Basically, Scottish Artists Union started in 2001, and we've had a steadily expanding membership to now where we've got about 1,350 members. From the membership survey, we know, I've overshot, I'm trying to keep up because we've not got a lot of time, but basically we know that 92% of our members are full members, and for this they have to fulfill a criteria of 4 different, we've got a list of criteria and they have to fulfill 4 of these. If they don't fulfill that, if they can cover 2 of the criteria, they can become an associate member. So we also have members who maybe aren't full-time practitioners, but maybe work in different areas of the arts. So I don't want this presentation to be too statistic heavy, but I've got some of these in the slides. So we know things like 66% of our membership have home-based studios, 10% use sessional facilities. We know whether they live in urban or rural situations. We know that 78% are visual artists and 30% are from applied arts and crafts-based background, or would consider themselves to be public artists. Other things like we know that 46 consider themselves to be a full-time practitioner. We've also covered things to do with things like career stage. So we know 28% are early, 46% consider themselves to be mid-stage, or 25% advanced stage. All these things are slightly open to interpretation. Again, we've got record now of membership, of age. So we've got a surprisingly large number who are over the age of 50. Things like we've asked them about benefits, the things that they've joined SAU for, so things like the benefits. We provide public liability insurance, things like financial service and advice, and discounts for membership. Just moving on. We've basically become aware of sort of quite important facts, like 58% have never received public funding, 63% have never had private funding, and also things like the viability of the sector, where this time we've for the first time, generally people have been fairly optimistic, but without sounding like the voice of doom, obviously, we realised that 40% of our respondents consider the sector to be, only 40% consider the sector to be healthy and viable, which means obviously that 60% don't. The effects of the economic downturn. And we know things about the income of artists. So again, shockingly, 93% of our membership earn 25 grand or less, which is, give or take, the sort of national average income. Earnings there, 64% earn between 5k or less, 19% earn between 5 and 10k. So yeah, we know where the income sources are coming from. Oh, right, sorry. And yeah, terms and conditions. I'm running out of time here, I'm sorry. But yeah, basically we collated a whole load of information to do with things like contracts, exhibition fees. Haven't got time to go over that. Detailed analysis, and I'm just going to finish off with that survey. We know that 78% of our membership are self-employed. I've run through a few of the things there. But yeah, I don't like to, as I said, I don't like to sound like the voice of doom, but it does paint quite a depressing kind of picture of the sector. But anyway, if anyone wants to talk to me further about any of these, I'll be around tomorrow and quite happy to share more statistics. Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks, Janie. And the report's available, isn't it? Can you get hold of a copy? Or?
If anyone wants a copy, well, actually, put you a copy and you can send it through.
Right. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. So thank you. So we just have two more presentations left this evening. So next we're going to hear from Fiona Fieber, who's Head of Learning and Participation at Space. Her presentation is Schools Not Quite Out for Summer. So I'll hand you over to Fiona. Thanks, Fiona.
Hi, good evening. I'm going to show a film, so I'm just going to sort of talk very, very, very briefly about what it, just to contextualise it. So every summer holidays for the last 3 years, children who've left primary and are on the verge of starting at secondary school participate in the summer school in East London. And it's a significant time for them, which actually I can remember, and I bet everybody else can as well, which is also, although incredibly exciting, the thought of moving on can also feel very daunting as it presents a lot of new challenges and unknowns. And so working together with artists and technologists in one of Space Studio buildings, the White Building, and across the canal in the Olympic Park, they respond to and explore new environments and finding their place within them. On with the film.
You are here today to be data explorers. Today we're going out into the Olympic Park with some school children transitioning between primary and secondary. We're going to take out some Raspberry Pis with some sensors attached to them, and we're going to sense our environment using the Raspberry Pis. Can we see the loose USB power cable in there? That is going to go into the corner of the Raspberry Pi underneath the little display. Okay, let's get going then.
44.19% humidity.
What colours can you see around your location?
We have been exploring the Olympic Park with our Raspberry Pis, which is a piece of equipment which is basically like the inside of a computer. And what it reads is the latitude, the longitude, the temperature.
We also asked each other questions like, why did we choose that place? How do you feel and what do you see like and what do you hear?
I liked exploring the greenery around the Olympic Park because all I really see of the Olympic Park is the stadium and the orbit and the gravel. But today we explored a bit more.
So you could look at your data and see if you can see things that are related. So that's kind of patterns and correlations.
I have different colour pom-poms which represent where I've been and what wildlife there is.
Well, before I thought when you had data, I thought it was all to do just science and stuff like that. But now I know you can make art out of it.
I'm going to take all of your sheets and I'm going to look at all of the data together and I'm going to turn it into an artwork.
Having my data shown in this artwork is quite exciting because if I was walking past it one day and I saw people standing there reading it, like looking at it and saying, oh, that's nice, I'll think that's my work and I know I've worked hard to do that and people are enjoying it now.
I'm incredibly excited to be standing in front of Stephanie Pozovec's final outcome called Art Park Data.
So when thinking about the aesthetic of this project, I thought that it would be best to go quite friendly and bold and approachable. And the reason that I did this was because I was working with data collected by children, so I think I needed to allude to the people who were doing the data gathering for me. And then secondly, I wanted it to be quite graphic, just because of the environment that the piece is in, because it's really busy, there's construction and people walking by and flags and lots of stuff, so I just wanted to make it as kind of simple and bold as possible.
Art Park Data has been an amazing opportunity for us, really. We're very grateful to Foundation for Future London, who are our partners on the summer school and have supported us all the way through it. And we've got exciting ideas for the summer school for the future.
So thank you, Fiona. It was a great film. It's really interesting to see Olympic Park like that as well, so thank you. Okay, so finally, presentation number 10 is from Kamina, you're there. Yes, right in front of me. Kamina Walton, Artistic Director of Rising Arts Agency, which is in Bristol. And you're going to talk about empowering young people as creative leaders. So thanks.
The danger about going last is that I've had loads of time to add to what I was going to say. So I just want to say that hopefully there will be lots of echoes in terms of what Darren O'Donnell was saying this morning. And in fact, it was earlier on this afternoon, wasn't it? It seems like a long time ago. And about the way we use language differently. And he talked about succession, collegiality, and social capital. And I just want to mention those words because they're very much to do with the ethos that Rising is coming from. So just to start by saying, Rising is not an organisation, it's not a gallery, it's a set of relationships and a collection of principles. At the moment, it has virtually no funding. It's existed since July, and it's me and a group of young people who are all based in Bristol. And we have been lucky enough to get our first commission from Situations, an international public arts organisation, also based in Bristol, to work on the Sanctum project with Chicago-based artist Theaster Gates. And I just wanted to start with a quote from him, which I thought really was very resonant in terms of what I'm trying to do. He said, "I want artists to understand that in the absence of a gallery or a museum, they have the capacity to invent the platform by which they can express their beliefs." And that's the kind of empowerment that I'm trying to instill in the young people that I'm working with. So Rising is an arts agency for 16 to 25-year-olds whose overarching aim is to nurture more diverse participation, commissioning, staffing and leadership in the arts. It's a site of co-production with young people and an incubator for young talent. It's all about partnership working. It's an offer of high-quality skills development, platforms to showcase work, mentoring support, signposting and networking. It's a social enterprise with startup support from the School for Social Entrepreneurs and Lloyds Bank. Rising has been developed from the outset in close collaboration with young people. It's about strong partnerships and networks across the sector, illustrated by a recent call out for volunteer mentors that attracted over 40 high-profile arts professionals who've offered their time for free for 6 months to mentor individual young people. Rising has an ethos of empowering young people through innovative opportunities, such as the Young People's Festival of Ideas, which is a platform to debate issues pertinent to young people and is a partnership between other organisations. Evaluation champions, using evaluation training and roles created as part of the Generation Art National Touring Programme that is one of the Engage initiatives. It's also developing a Young Creative Leaders programme planned to support a vibrant community of young leaders with an active role in shaping Bristol's cultural landscape. And I'd like to thank Engage and Extend for their leadership programme, which I was on last year, which has really helped shape my thinking around this. Okay, so very, very quickly, because my film is 1.5 minutes, I think. Rising will cement strategic partnerships, enabling it to connect with diverse communities of young people, offer high-quality services, continue to create dynamic opportunities for young people, and create new showcasing platforms. So I have no contact details up here, but I do have cards if anyone would like my contact details. I want to show this film, and then I want to just give you a question as a final parting gift. So here we go. This is made by young people for you.
Working on the development of Rising has been an invaluable experience. It's given me the opportunity to develop skills such as project management, social media marketing, how to write funding applications, and it's really signposted opportunities that are out there, and it's been really great.
Platforms like Rising are important and key in encouraging young people to continue to work within the creative sector. Having graduated in 2013, being involved with Rising has given me the courage and opportunity to get back into networking and collaborating with other really talented young artists within post-uni life.
Evaluation is something that I had very little experience of, and being able to have the training with Kamina and pick up some new approaches and skills has definitely contributed towards my professional development and practice.
You're allowed to be as creative if you want to. You get to meet and gain these really invaluable contacts, as well as realising how accessible the arts can be and realising how much potential you have to become a young professional. Rising allows young people to gain industry professional experience that's of a very high standard. And I just would love to see more opportunities like this where Rising can really branch further and expand. So yeah, hopefully I just see bigger things for Rising really, and that'll be awesome.
So just a final point, and this will only be very, very quick. I just wanted to ask you a question, which is how can we create a shift so that future events of this kind, which are all about young people, can have young people's presence and voice at its heart. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much, Kamina, and thank you to all the Soapbox speakers. And can be a bit nerve-wracking to do that at the end of the day. So thank you so much. And it's a great way to hear about so many different forms of practice and projects in a really kind of short time. So please do ask those speakers about their projects and follow up with them. And also, if you're going to be engaged conference next year, please take part.